Hey, welcome back to another episode of TV Time with Maggie. I'm Maggie, and today, this is a little bit of a different setup for me, but I'm trying something new, and I wanted to make a quick video. I wanted to try out my new lens as well, but I wanted to make a quick video. I'm kind of ranting because I am very upset that one of my favorite shows got canceled on Netflix. Now, I know that a lot of people already do these kinds of videos where they rant to Netflix or they write out or whatever. But I'm really upset because Netflix is one of my favorite streaming services. It's my favorite way of getting new content. I love Netflix. But in the last few years, they've been canceling some of the most innovative and inclusive shows, which I think it's what makes Netflix different than all the other streaming services and channels. And if that's what's making you different, and then you're canceling the shows that are doing that, what are you now? So I am upset because they canceled One Day at a Time. Now, One Day at a Time reimagined version of the, I believe it was like 1970s sitcom of the same name. And I believe the only character that is the same is Snyder, but it's basically about a mom and her kids and her own mother living together in one apartment. And in this reimagine, we have a completely diverse, like Latinx cast behind the camera and in front of the camera. So a lot of the writers actually are Latino. One of the showrunners is also Latina, and it talks about this Cuban American family, living their daily lives here in America. And I thought that the show brought, first of all, it was really funny. It has Rita Moreno as one of the main characters. And one of the things that I loved the most was that it was very relevant. So it had, a young person dealing with her identity and her sexuality. They did an episode on depression and taking medication and going to therapy. They did an episode on alcoholism. They did an episode on immigration and racial slurs and all kinds of things that we are dealing with today. I know that a lot of people had, a few issues with the show because, your faves are problematic as well. When it came down to, being a Latino cast, but basically they were all light-skinned Latinos. They did an episode about colorism that didn't really sit well with me, but other than that, the show is amazing. Not for anything else than just bringing new faces, new storylines, or new versions of the storylines. I feel like it had like a Jane the Virgin kind of touch to it, where it was a lot of comedy, but it was also a lot of drama. There were a lot of moments that made me cry. A lot of it, really, it was just, I felt like I was like watching my family on television, and that's not something I often say. And I thought that it would be such a great gateway to other Latinx shows, not only on Netflix but on cable television, because if it did well, it could also be something that could be like on ABC, for example. In the past, they had other shows like Chrystal or the George Lopez show on cable TV, but I don't know, they didn't really resonate with me. The one that I really liked was One Day at a Time, and Jane the Virgin, which is also ending this year. I really identified with the characters and their struggles, both as a Latina, both as a young woman living in the United States, as an immigrant, and it was something that I enjoyed watching with my mom, which is, I often have to watch things that are imported, things that are from Spain, for example. On Netflix, they have a great selection of Spanish language content, but they're imported, they're from Spain. And if you get content from Spain and you're like Latino, you know that they're like, they're like the white people of the Latino community. So it's like, really, like, I wanted somebody who speaks my language, who speaks Spanglish, who struggles with the same issues that I'm struggling with. And I don't know, I feel very betrayed to a certain extent. I know that Netflix has their reason. The reason was because The show didn't get enough ratings, or didn't have a lot of people watching. But I think it's difficult with Netflix, just because Netflix creates this binge watching culture where you binge something and then you're literally need to take a break from it, and then you probably binge it maybe 3 months later. And that's the way that I think most people do it. I don't think you watch a show and then you go back and rewatch it, as opposed to something that is on cable television, which is like something that if you miss an episode, you can catch up and watch the next episode, and you can kind of get ratings as to like how many people watch a particular episode. It's kind of difficult with Netflix in that regard. So I don't think that that's a good excuse for that. And it's a sitcom. It's up on a stage. It costs money, but it's not maybe as expensive as something like Sense8, which I understand was expensive as well. But it really felt like a hit to our Latino community when they decided to cancel it. I hope that what it does is that it gets people to really notice that there isn't enough. Like when this show got canceled, right? When there isn't enough Latino shows that I can just say, okay, well, that one was canceled, let me watch this other one. There aren't enough for us to say something like that. And that's what kind of riled me up, because there isn't. It's like we get this tiny little light and we are holding on for dear life to it, and we can't. And that's why we can't hold something like One Day at a Time responsible for, representing all of Latino traditions, or all of Latinos shapes and skin tones, because it's one show. And it's a shame that, okay, we're losing this one show, but there's nothing else. Because Netflix is a streaming services, and I thought that they take chances on things. I really believe that even if they didn't have the ratings, it was critically acclaimed. And again, it filled in that void. When we're looking, people like myself who are very critical of media and representation, when we're looking for shows to watch and to critique and to promote and to engage with, there aren't enough. There aren't enough. And that's why when that one little ray of light gets canceled, we become super upset about it. So Netflix, I hope you reconsider. And if you don't, I hope that you at least see that this is fulfilling something other than just ratings. I know money is important. I know that production value is important. I know these things are important, but I think as a streaming network, a streaming platform that has done so many creative and innovative things, I think that you can handle putting at least something that fills another void that is more for your audience and for diversity. And I mean, if you have to fill a quota, like just do it. I mean, that's what we are to this day, is a quota to a lot of companies. So I hope that even if you don't put it back on, I hope that you put more Latinos, more Latinos living in America shows that are created here. Yes, so this is my little rant, my little note to Netflix and to everybody out there who's as upset as me.